What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. As always, presented by Bet Parks. Eagles 7-point favorites on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys on the road. We'll be talking about that coming up here today and tomorrow. Big show today. Shout out to everybody that's currently watching live on YouTube, our Mad Chatters. Good morning, everybody. You can watch live at 8 o'clock every morning, or as many of you are watching later on at your convenience on demand, as always on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, or you're saying to yourself, hey, I can actually listen in the car or at work, you can. Just search Philly with John Marks or PHLY, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And boom, it'll pop up. It's the picture of me looking angry, yelling. And click on it, subscribe. And you can listen to every show. Tyler gets it up about 9:05, 9:10 every single day. Roku TV, shout out to Roku. We have our own channel. Search PHLY. I have Roku TVs in my basement. I didn't know that it was a Roku TV until I started working here. You can watch all of our content here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And Samsung Plus now. We are on Samsung Plus. So if you have a Samsung TV, and again, in the next 5 years, if you don't know what we're talking about, pretty much every TV is going to be like this. So you can watch our content, everything that we have with Samsung as well. I didn't watch the entire 76ers game last night, but I watched the first half, and it was tied at the half. And I was like, yeah, I have to catch the rest of what happened in the morning. And I'm glad I didn't stay up, because the Sixers got beat up in the third quarter into what ended up being a non-competitive finish as they fall to the Clippers. They're now 1-6 on the season. Again, without Joel Embiid. But you know what? I don't give a damn if Joel Embiid's on the court or not. This team is 1-6, and I still think that they're a top 5 playoff team, hopefully a top 4 playoff team in the East. We'll see. And they're going to have to go on a little bit of a run. And by the way, Joel Embiid is still going to need the load management and not playing back-to-back games and other assorted injuries. So I don't know how many games you can actually count on him now that he's already missed the first 7 games. And he's going to miss the first 9 games of the season. But, this is unacceptable. This is an unacceptable start to a season. I don't even care that Paul George was injured and not ready to go. You have a young star in Tyrese Maxey. You have other role players that have performed relatively well in other spots. I don't know what the hell Nick Nurse is doing. It doesn't feel like he has a real good feel for his team right now as far as combinations to put out there, or when to substitute or when not to substitute. Everything just seems very clunky and disjointed. And they're a bad basketball team right now. They're tied for the worst record in the NBA. So this is not fun to watch. And they better get their act together, and they better do it quick. Because it's easy to say, and it's easy to give the excuse, as I have and maybe some others have leading up to this point, saying all right, well, Embiid's not in there, and when Embiid gets back, you can see how this is going to be a good team. And I still agree with that. But what are we talking about here? This is however many year of the process, since the process started. We're talking about, they'll still be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. But big freaking whoop, right? What did Derek Coleman say one time? Whoop-de-damn-do. All right, but that's what we are. That's what we are right now as 76ers fans. We're not hey, we're the best team in the East, or we're the second best team in the East, and we need to add. Paul George is that final piece that we need. No, we're just hoping Joel Embiid can come back and he can stay relatively healthy. No, Tyrese Maxey's fun and all this other stuff. The Sixers suck right now, and this is really difficult to watch. We'll get more on that coming up here with the headlines with Tyler. Angelo Cataldi is going to join us at 20 after, 15 minutes from now if you're watching live, 8:20. And I specifically emailed him and I said, I want to know what you think about Joel Embiid, the 76ers, Marcus Hayes, how you handled the situation. Like how the Sixers have handled the situation. How bad is it? So he's coming up today, about 15 minutes, and I'm sure he's going to have, I know that he has some opinions on that. Let's just say that. And Nick Sirianni and some other stuff with Angelo. Later on in the show, the college football locks of the week. Uncle Jamie's college football locks of the week. That's in the last 10 minutes. By the way, just saying, 3-0 last week, Uncle Jamie was. Don't let him get hot. Don't let him get hot. 3-0 last week. We got a couple of good games he's going to give you today. That's coming up later in the program. Why don't we get to headlines, and we'll do the Sixers and Paul George, but Paul George returned last night to Los Angeles against the Clippers for the first time, and they're just in their new building. So he never played in this building. What's it called? The Intuit. Tyler Zuli.
I think it's called the Intuit spaceship or something like that. It looks like a spaceship.
Looks awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Not a lot of fans in there, but we have all the video and the sound for you of Paul George's return last night. And before we play that, just let me say that I even think we talked about this. When did with Saquon going back to the Giants? I think was the last time we talked about it, and we brought up the name Jason Worth. I thought Phillies fans were totally out of line with the way that they treated Jason Worth. Jason Worth was being offered a contract by the Phillies that was, hey, this isn't the best offer out there, but this is the best offer we're going to give you. I think it was 3 years and $45 million. And he ended up signing a 6 or 7 year deal for $126 or $127 million. So, it's one thing to kind of be like, well, screw you, Jason Worth. He got cheered when he broke his thumb. I was at that game. They booed him for years. Phillies fans booed him for years, and I never felt right about it. Because Jason Worth was a huge part of the Phillies' success during that run. He was an all-star player. He was a really, really good player, Jason Worth, offensively and defensively. So I didn't like the way that we handled that, and I'll include myself because I'm a Phillies fan. I didn't like the way that was handled. Paul George isn't the same vitriol towards it, but Clippers fans booing him, and we'll play it for you coming up in a second. The Clippers offered him a 3-year deal, and it's obviously a lot of money. But they wouldn't include a no-trade clause, and they wouldn't include the 4th year. The Sixers were willing to max him out for 4 years. So if you're looking for a reason to stay, you say, like, all right, I'm living in California. The taxes are incredibly high here. I'm living in Los Angeles, incredibly high cost of living. And you're only offering me 3 years. And on top of that, you won't give me a no-trade clause. Because, by the way, no-trade clauses, a lot of times when a team says, hey, we're going to trade you, like, you're going to say, okay. Now, it's a matter of you can say, I'm not going to this place or I'm not going to that place. Reality is players, they're the ultimate power play. You trade for a player in any sport, and the player says, okay, you're right. Legally and contractually, I have to go, but I'm not going to be happy about it. Remember Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz flexed on, was it the Bears, I think, where when the Eagles were trying to trade him, Carson Wentz more or less said, I'm only going to Indianapolis. I'm not going anywhere else. Now, the Eagles could have said, F you, we're going to trade you to Chicago, but Chicago's not going to make that deal when the quarterback is saying, I do not want to play there. I'm not going to be happy. So no trade clauses, you kind of, as a star player, you kind of have. But, like, he wanted it. And there's no reason for them not to give it to him if they wanted to keep him. Didn't it feel like the Clippers were making an offer they knew he was going to refuse? He knew that there were max offers out there for him by a couple of teams. They knew the Sixers were going to max him out. So they made an offer that I think they thought he was going to refuse, and he did. So Clippers fans being mad that he left, and I know he might have chirped a little bit after he left, but I don't know. Tyler Zuli joins us for headlines this morning. Tyler, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. What's going on? Let me fix my camera here so my head's not poking out of the shot. I think you're right. And listen, it's within a team's right to say this is what we feel like we're able to offer you. But they didn't offer the no trade clause. They didn't offer the 4th year. I think if you offer either of those things,
he's back.
There's a chance he's back. If you offer both of those things, he's definitively back.
Well, he felt disrespected.
Sure, and I think that's part of being a free agent, right? Like if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, John, I'm going to offer you, $40,000 less a year and 1 year guarantee on your contract versus a 2-year guarantee on your contract," you're going to go, "Okay, thanks, but no thanks."
Easily.
It's part of being it's part of being a professional. It's professional in any industry. I don't think there's vitriol between him and the organization.
I don't think so at all.
I just think it was they said, here's what we feel like we can offer you, and his camp, rightfully so, said we can go get more money and an additional year from another team, and he did. He got it from the Sixers.
Yeah, and I think it right after it happens, he's probably a little he's annoyed and probably because honestly, if the Clippers wanted him back, they could have had him back, and by only offering what they offered him, they didn't bring him back. And it's one of the things with with the Sixers that I said, well, the Clippers didn't want him back, or they would have maxed him out, or they would have given him the no trade clause, but whatever. So let's get to some of the sound from last night. Angelo's coming up here in shortly at about 9:20, or excuse me, 8:20. So what do we have last night? We know the 76ers lost the game.
Yeah, they did lose the game. It was 110-98. By the way, our headlines, as always, are brought to us by our friends over at Glatt Hair Restoration, because bald is now optional. And if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. They're going to help you regain your confidence, and all you have to do to get started is visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. So yeah, this is what it sounded like last night at the Intuit spaceship Mars Explorer Dome Death Star thing, and I want you to take note of something. Other than obviously, there's going to be a smattering of boos for Paul George. I want you to take note of something else in this video when we play it. This is what it sounded like last night when Paul George took the court for the first time.
High school? Was that a high school gym they were at, or?
That's exactly what I was thinking, man. It was empty, and I know it was pregame; it was still shoot around, but that place was empty.
So I'm trying, and it's Los Angeles. It's a late arriving crowd. There's a lot of traffic and blah 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 blah. But I was just trying to look real fast to see how many home. It's a brand new friggin' arena. You'd think in the first couple games of its existence that it would be a little bit more ripe and ready to go. I don't know, man. It's Los Angeles. But yeah, like and we'll keep playing the sound, but it's like when they talk about being booed, it ain't like when people come back to Philadelphia and they get booed. That's for sure.
No, I think people were booing from the roof of the Wells Fargo Center when Ben Simmons returned. They were peering in through the crevices of the roof. That's how they were packed, and it's a different aspect. I get it, right? Paul George was there for 5 years. I think he took him to a Western Conference Finals the 1 year.
He did. That's true.
And they didn't get over the hump that they thought they were going to, and he re-signed and he signed somewhere else in free agency. It wasn't like it was a Ben Simmons situation.
Right.
I know that's hyperbolic to say, but it felt like if you were going to boo the guy, but it didn't feel like there were a ton of people there, and B, it didn't really feel like it felt like it was kind of a jeer or a jest more than a boo.
A jeer is a good, and that right there was jeering. Correct. That's a good way to term it.
All right, so Paul George followed up after the game. He was asked about it, and I thought he gave a pretty mature, well-thought-out answer about it. He talked about how it was kind of expected. He doesn't get it, but it's part of sports. Here was Paul George after the game in the media, in the locker room, talking about being booed.
I mean, it's stupid. I was a free agent. You know what I mean? I was a free agent. It wasn't something that I, demanded a trade or, went against the team here. Like, I was a free agent. The team presented something that was team friendly, and I did what was best for me in that situation. So there was the cheers. I appreciate them. Those were the ones that I played hard for. The boos, I didn't get it. I still don't get it when I go to Indy. But it is what it is. It's sports. That's what's in sports.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Paul George, how he handled the whole situation. He did media beforehand. He did a lot of interviews. He had a press conference. He spoke highly of the organization, the ownership, everything. He's looking at it. His experience in Los Angeles with the Clippers was a positive experience. And he got booed a little bit and whatever, but he handled it well.
So the Sixers do lose this one. I'll give you some details really quickly. Paul George had 18 points in 24 minutes played. Kelly Oubre with 18 as well. Tyrese Maxey just 12 points in this one. Left the game early with a hamstring injury. We'll keep you updated on that one. A couple different guys figured in double digits. Kenyon Martin, Caleb Martin as well, 14 and 10 respectively. Leading scorer in this one was, how about this, of all guys, leading scorer was Norm Powell with 26 points for the Clippers. Sixers fall to 1-6. It is now officially the worst record in the NBA. They are 15th in the Eastern Conference, losing 6 of their first 7. They're back at it tomorrow when they take on the Lakers.
It is unacceptable. Unacceptable to start like this. Nick Nurse is hired to, again, like when Doc Rivers came in here and Doc Rivers was talking about like how he made the team so much better. And it's like, no, you didn't. Yeah, like you were supposed to be the one that put the finishing touch on. You were supposed to be the coach that came in and put him over the top because you have this championship pedigree. He didn't do squat. Continued to lose big series. Brett Brown was a better coach than Doc Rivers. Nick Nurse was supposed to come in to be the anti-Doc Rivers. He was, again, supposed to take the team to the next level. You're 1-6, man. I'm not telling you it's been easy without Joel Embiid and Paul George is just coming back, but like, who's playing well right now outside of Tyrese Maxey? Anybody?
No, and I'm glad that you brought that up because you mentioned earlier in the show, I feel like the rotation has been strange.
Clunky.
It's been really weird. And I think that maybe that's a product of a bunch of guys trying to fit into a role. But, you know, I watch Eric Gordon, and most nights I just don't feel inspired about Eric Gordon being on the court for extended periods of time.
No. You're not a draw of inspiration. Eric Gordon. No, you're right. And Kyle Lowry, actually last night, I don't even know if he scored, but like at least he knows what he's doing passing the ball. It doesn't seem like anybody else out there knows how to pass the ball or anything. And Andre Drummond is pretty much when Joel Embiid comes back. I don't know if you can put him on the floor outside of a couple minutes here and there. He's a liability. He's not a rim protector. His offensive game, and we know this, is a 0. And you know, there's a guy that I see out there that, you know, could shoot the ball a little bit to be playing some backup center minutes. So we'll see what they do with that.
So they're, again, back at it tomorrow night against the Lakers. We'll go to the Flyers really quickly. They're back at it tonight. They're in Tampa to take on the Lightning. The Lightning, who, by the way, I believe have now lost 4 in a row since we last talked about it. They've lost 3 in a row. Losses to the Wild, the Jets, and the Blues over the last couple of days. They'll take on the Flyers, who have not gotten an update on Sam Ersson just yet. The good news is we talked about it yesterday, he is on the trip. He is with the team. The bad news is the Flyers have yet to win a game when Sam Ersson has not started in net. Goaltenders not named Ersson are 0-6 this year for the Flyers. They're 4-8-1. That means Ersson is 4-2-1.
Yeah. That's big underdogs tonight, the Flyers are.
Yeah, so they get started at 7:30 tonight. Week 10 of the NFL schedule kicks off tonight with a AFC North showdown between the Bengals and the Ravens, an actually decent Thursday night football game for once. You know, obviously Thursday night the game's a little more sloppy than typical, but at least you get an AFC North showdown tonight.
Yeah, I will be, and thank you, Tyler. I will be folding laundry, watching the game tonight. It's a great way to do laundry. Do it on Thursday nights with a good game. You do all the laundry, and boom, you're watching football. All right, Uncle Jamie's coming up soon with his college football locks of the week. Angelo Cataldi coming up in 3 minutes. But Central City Toyota, I tell you that. Yeah, let's talk about Central City Toyota. That's Uncle Jamie's dealership. He's the GM of Central City Toyota. In the heart of University City, 55 years on Chestnut Street. You know how you stick around that long? You know what the hell you're doing. Great service. Great business, right? An amazing selection of certified vehicles. I was down there yesterday. Largest service and parts dealership in the city of Philadelphia. I needed 4 tires on the minivan, on the Sienna, which I got from Central City Toyota. In there, boom, rolled right into the service dock, took my keys. All right, go wait. I sat in the waiting room, got a cup of coffee, did some work, was on the laptop, put my AirPods in. Boom. I was like, hang on, I need more time because I'm trying to do work. I'm being productive. Sorry. Your car's ready to go. The minivan's ready. 4 tires, front end alignment. Boom! Central City Toyota. If you're short on time and you know you need to get the oil change or the service done, you work in the city, it's perfect. Drop your car off to get serviced, and they'll shuttle. Every half hour, the shuttle. 10:30 shuttle. They'll drive you right down to the office, and then they'll pick you up when you're ready to go. They also provide a pickup and delivery service on an appointment basis. So go to centralcitytoyota.com. They'll pick your car up. They'll get it serviced. They'll drop it back off. CentralCityToyota.com. If you're looking to upgrade your ride, they have an amazing selection of certified vehicles, and they have a one-price approach. There's no pricing games. They're not looking to rip you off. They get you a great car. They improve your ride, and you're a customer for life, man. CentralCityToyota.com. Let's talk about BetParks for a second. Join Mike Quick, Seth Joyner, Mark Zumoff, Joe Conklin, the Cuz Anthony Gargano, Brad Feinberg, and me. That's right, John Marks. We are the BetParks lineup. BetParks, the official sportsbook and online casino of Philly with John Marks, and the only sportsbook and online casino app we would ever use and recommend. If Tyler tries to go to someone, no. Bet Parks only. All right, Sunday, Birds are 7-point road favorites against Dallas. Over-unders 43. Tonight in hockey, we talked about it. Phillies plus 160, Tampa minus 195. And then Thursday night football, Baltimore 6-point home favorites over Cincinnati. And you can bet more than the score in football. Bet player TDs, rushing, passing yards, sacks, interceptions, and more. So join us on the BetPark Sportsbook and online casino app. You can play blackjack, trap, roulette, and more while watching the game. And it's from a live dealer. And new users download the BetParks online casino app and sportsbook. You'll get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Casino bonus must be wagered. See betparks.com for details. Must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Angelo Cataldi. So right now, Angelo is taking his grandkids to school, as I would be right now as well if I wasn't on the air. So we talked to him. So the hour we're on the air, he's unavailable. So we talked to him shortly after we got off the air yesterday. Here's how it sounded. All right, well, joining us right now, I first met this man in June of 1995.
I have to give these details.
I was a senior in high school, and me and my friends, we cut school because we wanted to go see the live taping of our favorite TV show, which was The Great Sports Debate. So we loaded in a yellow Toyota Camry, and we drove to the lagoon in Essington, Pennsylvania, to see our next guest, Angelo Cataldi, longtime voice of WIP. But my favorite Angelo Cataldi was The Great Sports Debate, Angelo Cataldi. What's up, Ange?
Wow, the timing for that. John, thank you for having me on your show. We're actually getting together, the old band for the Great Sports Debate. We're doing one last episode. We're taping it next Tuesday at Glenn Macnow's Beer Place, which I have to find the address for now. I didn't think it would come up today. We're doing it again. We brought back the old band with Jason Stark, Glenn Macnow, Al Morganti, and we're going to try to do one more and put it on. It's going to be on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Glenn's got a weekly beer show on there for his Hockey Brewing Company, and we're going to do it there. I got to find out where that is and promote it. People could come out and see it. It's going to be great. That's awesome.
So it's not at the lagoon in Essington like I drove down to see you.
Oh, no. I don't think that's there anymore, John.
It hasn't been there for a long time. Yeah, it's not. But I loved, that was like the start of sports radio. And then you, Al, Beethoven, the original dog, Glenn, Mikey Miss wearing the members only jacket, looking handsome and young. Jason Stark, Howard was occasionally on there. That was must-watch TV every single week. You guys were great.
Well, thank you. It was really, really inexperienced people at a time when they were looking to fill hours and hours and hours on regional sports network. We didn't get it because of the quality of the show. I can guarantee you that, John.
Well, listen, you look great. You look, I don't know if you look refreshed because you always look great, but you're not waking up at 2:00 in the morning. So what time do you wake up now? Now that you've settled in, it's been over a year, you're officially in retirement. It's been well over a year actually now. What time do you wake up every morning?
Well, it depends. If I've got to take little kids to school, because my grandkids, I see them pretty much every day. If I have a duty like that, I'll get up at the ungodly hour of 8:00 or 8:15. But otherwise, I've pushed it as far as like 9:30, which is almost when my show would have been over. Yeah, I don't, that getting up at 2:30 in the morning thing, man, it was great. The best thing about retirement was the first couple of months after that, when I would look up at the clock and go, I don't have to go anywhere.
Wow.
Roll over, go back to sleep. It's great.
Are you up late now? Are you watching the Tonight Show, or has your clock totally changed?
No, I end up sleeping like 9 or 10 hours. I go to bed. I'm asleep by 10 o'clock most nights. I couldn't push it past there. I just, force a habit. You do it one way for so long, it's really hard to to go back and live the hours I did when I was a reporter at covering games and staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning. Those days are never coming back, John. Those are over.
Well, listen, it's a good segue because maybe people don't know about you because you were on the radio for so many decades, I'll just say, was that you were an award-winning reporter and columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer before you joined sports radio. So one of the things that when you move on and you retire, that when big things happen in Philadelphia sports, it's still like, man, I wonder what Angelo would say about this, which is the reason I reached out to you with what happened with Marcus Hayes and Joel Embiid. So what was your opinion? First, let's start with this. What's your opinion on how the 76ers have handled the entire thing from the beginning of training camp to where we are today with Joel Embiid being suspended for shoving Marcus Hayes? How do you feel the Sixers have handled the whole thing?
Well, first of all, let me just say, I do write a blog every week at AngeloCataldi.com so people can find out totally free of charge whatever I'm thinking. All right, so that's good. The fact of the matter is, none of this surprised me in the least, but they handled it in their usual slipshod, ineffective way. Awful. The thing that got me the most of it, so they knew there was probably going to be a problem because Embiid held that woe is me news conference on Friday saying, I did so much for this city, I don't deserve this. While I'm thinking, John, yeah, at $51 million a year, these guys nowadays, especially the biggest superstar, think this should be a smooth road to happiness. That being a sports star doesn't include criticism when you are not living up to your expectations or your paycheck. So the fact that these Sixer PR flacks would be in that locker room after an assault on a media person and attempt to get everyone in the room not to report the news. That to me was the most telling moment in the whole incident because it said to me, I knew in the years that I was in those locker rooms, John, nobody would have tried that with Stan Hochman in there, Mark Wicker, those great columnists who they suffered no fools. Yeah, we're not going to report news because it'd be uncomfortable for the Sixers. Screw you. All right? They tried it. You know what that said to me? That these guys cover the team now, with some exceptions, are basically doing the bidding of the teams they're covering. That they're being asked to do stuff and must be succeeding, or they would have even tried that ridiculous stunt in the Embiid thing. And as for Marcus, look, here's the thing. Marcus is in the most impossible position a writer can be in sports in our city right now. Because he's the last guy counting people, making them accountable in our city when they do something wrong, do something stupid, do something that is not in sync with what the fans want. And he's going to take this heat. I've talked to him privately, and I said to him, you're going to get this a lot because no one else does it anymore. From my background in journalism, John, that's your job. Hold the people in power accountable. And if it's sports, especially if they're making $50 million a year and they won't play and they're not giving you a good answer as to why, left knee management is not even an injury. To me, they deserve all that came down. And I'm just sorry. I thought it was ludicrous that the NBA suspended Joel Embiid for 3 games. He hasn't played all year. What are you suspended him from? And this is just another example of what a petulant, just self-pitying star is like in our town. And they ain't going to win anything with him here. They'll never win anything here.
Yeah.
Because of him and the organization he plays for.
Well, I tend to agree with that. And to me, my biggest takeaway is that they're scared to death of Joel Embiid. He's calling every shot down there. That's the reason why there wasn't injury information that was released, because he's sensitive. He doesn't want it out there. But the thing that bothered me the most was that they set it up for that incident to happen with Marcus Hayes. And Angelo, I'm sure you've been in the situation many times where you've written something and there's a player that's mad at you. So isn't the proper procedure to make sure that you separate the two and you meet away from everybody else to clear the air? Then the air is cleared. Maybe there's some, I understand where you're coming from. Marcus apologizes and say, listen, I should have never written that. To where then Embiid isn't more or less attacking Marcus Hayes in front of everybody. So, like, what's the proper procedure for what went down there? What should the Sixers have done?
Yeah, I mean, I had incidents like that because I covered the team the way Marcus does. I was attacked by Ray Ellis of the Eagles. I was attacked by a coach, Bob McCammon of the Flyers. And that was predating. Now they're much rarer. Those things used to happen all the time. Because if they didn't like what you wrote, they would see you the next day if you covered a team, and they would go, the hell are you talking about? And then you should say, here's what my thinking was. I respect your side of the argument. I'm happy to write a follow-up presenting your case. I offered my opinion or my insight. That's the way it's done. Normally, that will not work anyway. So you're right. What you do is, if you got a PR staff that knows what it's doing, which the Sixers have demonstrated at no time that they do, you bring them together in a calm setting with people there who can mediate. And it doesn't appear like they did that. And I'm not surprised. Marcus Hayes wrote about the son and the late brother of Joel Embiid. To me, it wasn't as derogatory if it sounds when you pull that out. He was just saying, you have a legacy, Joel, and make them proud. That's all he was really trying to do. But okay, this is the way Embiid thinks, though. He loves this role of victim. He loves to be the $51 million a year victim. And I don't buy a word of it. And if I were on the air, I would be hammering on him.
Unfortunately for Marcus, I agree with you. I think he was trying to make a point, and he was trying to do it as a writer that's a lot smarter than me. The problem is when you talk about a deceased brother and the son, 99% of the people aren't even reading the article anyway, Angelo. So they just see the context, and then everything it goes where it goes. And that's what happened in this case.
Right. And he apologized. To his credit, he apologized. He was prepared to apologize face-to-face with Joel. But that didn't serve Joel's agenda, which is to portray himself as a victim. And that's what he loves to do.
If you're the Sixers and you know Embiid's in there waiting for him, and you had to know he was in the locker room waiting for Marcus Hayes because Marcus had to show up. You don't let Marcus walk in there. You say to Marcus, listen, Joel's in there right now. He's pissed. Let me try to get him to the side. We're going to talk in a little bit. But you can't let Marcus walk in there because you know what's going to happen. Unless they wanted it to happen, Angelo.
Yeah. You're right. They did it. Why? Maybe they hated what he wrote too, and they wanted to see him get his comeuppance. That's possible too. I have no idea. See, I may be assigning more competence to them than they have. They're just look at the image of the team. Are they well liked in the city? Is the ownership embraced in the city? No, they're already doing a lousy job. And they've been doing a lousy job for the last 20 years. Here's the problem, John, and it's real simple to see if a team knows how to connect with the city or not. Do the fans like them? Do the fans feel happy about the organization? Say what you want about the Phillies. They've got a lot of goodwill going with their fans. The Sixers, I don't see much of it at all because they don't know how to connect with their audience. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing all the stuff that's going on now is a byproduct of their inability to do PR.
Yep. Pretty much year after year. You're right. All right. Eagles are 6-2. There's a lot of talk of Nick Sirianni not being a large part of the Eagles being 6-2 this past week with some decisions going forward on fourth down, going for 2-point conversions and chasing 2-point conversions. In your opinion, Nick Sirianni, how is he doing? Evaluate the job that Nick Sirianni is doing this year for the Eagles.
If I ran the Eagles, I wouldn't have to do that because I would have fired him at the end of last season. They had a 7-game free fall from 10-1 to out because he had no idea how to fix what was wrong with his team. That's enough evidence for me to try somebody else. especially when I realized it took him 3 games in his rookie season to give up play calling. So he acknowledged he wasn't good at that. We know he doesn't do anything on defense. What exactly did he do? Create a positive culture? Okay, I'll give you that. Check. He created a positive culture in his locker room. Players like to play for him. That's not enough. Yeah, it's not enough. Now, he doesn't run the offense. That's Kellen Moore. He doesn't run the defense. That's Vic Fangio. They got Michael Clay to do special teams. He's got one thing to do. And you saw how he handled that on Sunday. He couldn't get one of those decisions right. And I'll tell you why. Because they got an analytics chart. So he knows if it's this, I should do this. If it's this, I should do this. And at no point did he look up at the field and go, wow, the tush-push isn't working now. Doug Peterson found a way to use 2 tiers and really block the pathway of Jalen Hurts. Maybe I should just kick the extra point. Maybe I should go up 17 instead of stay at 14. He just made one illogical decision after another because they were all rooted in analytics, not taking into account what was actually happening that day. And he's an awful coach. John, you know this. I got to interview him after 3 years of Eagles games. There's nothing going on there. There's no great football expertise he's handling. I know. I had to ask the questions. He does not bring very much to the table except to be a rah-rah guy for his players. To me, in the NFL, that's not nearly enough. It's not going to work.
Nope. Probably not. I think that's where most fans are right now, Angelo. They may be 6-2, but how much of that is because of Nick Sirianni? I mean, like, if look at any of the other coaches in the division. If you have the same coach, are you 6-2? Probably. Well, like Mike McCarthy, I don't love him.
Yeah.
Are you 6-2? I actually think down in Washington they have a really good head coach that flew under the radar a while. But yeah, I mean, like. The tough thing is, how do you decide at the end of the season if they win 11 games and they win a playoff game? Are you firing them off of that? You know what I mean? Like it's hurry up and get to the playoffs, because if they fail, it's all going to be put on Nick Sirianni, because right now he's public enemy number 1 when it comes to Eagles fans.
But John, tell me if I'm nuts here. I don't think I've ever seen an Eagles game where more incredible athleticism was on display than I did against the Jaguars. You saw some of the most incredible plays. Shaquan with the spin and the turn.
Hurdle. Yeah.
How great is he? The touchdown catch where he caught tiptoed feet right on the side of the end line. The touchdown catch by Devontae Smith. One hand leaping through the end zone. And there Hurts, and what did he run? 18 yards for a touchdown. Unmolested. You saw some. Dotson made a circus
great catch, yeah.
6 yards, right? There were 6, 7 plays in that game that you couldn't believe your eyes that these guys were so talented to make those plays. Howie Roseman brought those guys there. Howie Roseman has assembled a lineup that is worthy of a shot at the big game. He really has. And he put in charge of it the village idiot, all right? And the fact that they haven't figured this out yet, I got to believe after Sunday's game, they're looking at each other going, yeah, that was our mistake. We got this guy there. How can we insulate ourselves against the next series of dumb decisions by Sirianni?
Yeah. I think they figured it out by now, Angelo. They're trying to they're trying to protect him so he doesn't look like the village idiot every week.
I hope so.
And by the way, the last time I wish he had the laminated chart that Rich Kotite had. Maybe he did. That's what happened on Sunday many years ago. People don't know the story. Rich Kotite didn't know when to go for 2 because he had a chart, but it rained. It was a laminated chart. So he forgot what he was supposed to do because it got wet and it erased the chart. Maybe Nick Sirianni had a laminated chart, Ange.
Well, let me just say this, John. I honestly believe that this is the closest we've been to Kotite. Forget the record, 40-19. I know what his record is. This is the closest we've gotten to Cotai with Nick Sirianni. That's what I'm thinking.
You're funny, man. Your book, how was it going on a book tour? You were out there. I interviewed you for your book. Angelo Cataldi, Loud, How a Shy Nerd Came to Philadelphia, Turned Up the Volume in the Most Passionate Sports City in America. I know you did a lot. You sold a lot of units. I don't know if you still have some in your trunk. If people see you around, they can buy it, but it is available.
You know, I don't.
No?
I sold my thing out. Because, see, the way it works at publishing, you have to buy your own book. They give you a very good deal. And then you become your own bookseller. But we sold a ton of them. It was a great experience. It was not designed to make any money, nor did I. It doesn't work that way in the publishing industry.
Right.
But it's kind of a remembrance of all those years I got to work in this amazing sports city, talking sports every morning. It's the best job I ever had in my life, and I can't thank the people enough that they gave that to me.
Are you enjoying retirement? I know you still get together with Kenny and Shirley, and a lot of your callers. You guys will watch games together. Kenny texts me when he's going over to hang out with you. Would you say you're enjoying retirement, or how would you describe
Love
it?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Just the challenge of trying to fill 4 hours every morning once I had hit 70 was really getting hard. And I had done it for 33 years. That was plenty. And I love this because I've really gotten closer to my grandkids than I ever was to even my own kids. And, that's my regret, I guess. My priorities should have been a little more in order when I was spending all that time doing that job. But it is incredibly rewarding. It is relaxing. And it's everything I hope it could be. It's really great.
Yeah, it's generational because my mom, and it's generational. My mom and dad, I didn't get a lot of I love yous from my mom and dad. They give my kids a lot of I love yous all the time. So, I mean, and I see the same thing with you and your grandkids. So I'm really happy that you're enjoying it and you're taking retirement on with the same kind of energy you did when you worked every day.
That's great. Well, yeah, it is. It's John, it's great. You're way too young for that, but someday you will also have that opportunity. And
someday.
I'm sure you'll love it too.
Angelo, thank you. I will. Hopefully, we talk soon. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you carving out a couple minutes for us.
Anytime, John. Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Angelo. And by the way, the great sports debate event he was talking about is on Tuesday, next Tuesday, 6 to 9 at Puddler's Kitchen by Conshohocken and Brew. So there you go if you want to go out and see the old great sports debate crew. All right, let's talk about here. Uncle Jamie's picks are coming up, but we got to talk about Ace. That's right. If you are incapable like me, get to Ace Hardware Home Services. Check it out. All right. And this is awesome because it's really your one place that you need to go. Because let's say you need an electrician, you need a plumber, need somebody that does your HVAC, and you're like, hold on, well, who do I call for all that stuff? That's why you get the AceHardwareHomeservices.com, because they got somebody for you, and they're doing it, right? Like, they're getting local people, they're getting local businesses out there, and it's all under the Ace umbrella, all right? So Ace Hardware Home Services, if you need equipment installation, if you need emergency services on the weekend, something goes, Ace Hardware Home Services, they're right there for you. Ace is the place if you need something like I need, which is a lot of help when it comes to all that stuff. So Ace Hardware Home Services is where you go for free estimates. It's service you can trust, satisfaction's guaranteed. They're going to make it right no matter what. And just visit Ace Hardware Home Services at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project today. Rite Aid. Hey, I spent a whole day not going to Rite Aid in Royersford. An entire day where I didn't have to go pick up a prescription or more children's Motrin or whatever. And where's wood? That's not real wood. I don't think I need to go there today, but I love going to Rite Aid, right? Right now, you should download a MyPharmacy account. You can refill your prescriptions, sign up for prescription notifications, enroll in automated courtesy refills, right? To talk with your Rite Aid pharmacist, or you can sign up through your MyPharmacy account. Just go to RiteAid.com. Restrictions may apply. And when you're at Rite Aid, you do what I do. It's like I'm shopping around. I love looking for deals. A lot of times I'm buying stuff I don't even need, but because it's such a good deal. Like I brought these strawberry frosted flakes. It's supposed to turn the milk all strawberry, but my kids won't eat it. So now I just have this spot. But it was $1.99. It was like $2 off the MSRP for it. But anyway, that's where you get it, Rite Aid. Their caring pharmacists are ready to answer questions and help you stay healthy. Get your prescriptions along with anything you need at Rite Aid. Over-the-counter medicines, household products, cosmetics, and more. Energy drinks. Just ask your pharmacy team for details. Restrictions apply. There you go. Yeah, the college football locks of the week are coming up with Uncle Jamie here in a second. We have a football game. We have a Cowboy game. It doesn't feel like remember Dallas week? Like, oh, Dallas week. Oh. But Dak going out with an injury. Tyler, the Eagles rolling right now. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not being in a different forum here where I'm not like 4 hours of Eagles every day. Eagles. We can actually look at some other stuff. But still, it's like kind of an anticlimactic Eagles-Dallas week. To me, that's problematic.
Well, I think that there's a handful of things that play into it, and you brought up a couple, right? Dak Prescott's not playing. It's going to be Cooper Rush at quarterback. Dallas is not playing a particularly good brand of football right now. They've really struggled over the last couple of weeks. They've dealt with a rash of injuries themselves, whether it be to Micah Parsons, who was banged up for a while, or their running game really hasn't gotten going. Rico Dowdle's been okay, but they've really not been able to replace the productivity that Zeke had the first time with Dallas. They tried with Tony Pollard. They didn't like him. They let him go to Tennessee. They try to use Rico Dowdle, and they bring Zeke back, and it's really not been the same run game for them that it was a couple of years ago. I don't want to say you're overlooking them because it's the division game. It's Dallas. It's still the Cowboys. They're talented on paper. Their roster construction has top-end talent, right? You still have to worry about CeeDee Lamb. It's a decent offensive line still. It's not nearly as good as it was as the vaunted offensive line of
Agreed.
like the 15, 16, 17, probably 16, 17, 18 Dallas Cowboys when it was just like all pro after all pro. I don't want to overlook them, but there does feel to be a little bit of wind out of the sails because of all of the things rolled into a vacuum.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They're still dangerous. I think their talent has taken a little bit of a dive here, like you had said, as some of their offensive line used to be top offensive line in the league. That is not the case anymore. Dak Prescott being out, I mean, people may forget, Cooper Rush, I think the Eagles beat him when Dak was injured in 2022. Eagles beat him, and then he won 4 straight games, I think, after that. And I remember Jerry Jones saying, more or less, hey, when Dak comes back, the template is here for what we should be doing, which is running the football, because they were playing great defense in 2022.
Yes.
Defense isn't the same now as it was back then. I know Micah Parsons has been out. He's been injured. When you're talking about one of the best defensive players in football, like that's going to affect the performance of your defense.
Sure, of course. I think we've talked about it with the Eagles. When A.J. Brown missed time, the Eagles' offense was different. When Justin Jefferson misses time, the Vikings' offense is different. You take the premier players off of their respected units. You take T.J. Watt off of the Steelers' defense, it's going to get affected. So it's always going to be the case, right? You take Micah Parsons out of the Cowboys' defense, it's an affected unit. It's a much more tame unit when one of the best edge rushers in football doesn't play. I think that everything swings Eagles' way this week. It feels like It
feels like they go down there and they roll.
And they roll, right. And
that worries me.
And that's the first time I've felt that way. Oh, I guess maybe I felt that way a little bit this past week where I felt like they were the better team and they jumped out to a large lead and they showed that, and the comeback was what it was.
I agree with you. It does feel like that they go down and roll, which is why I'm worried, because it feels like the team's going to feel the same way. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that doesn't bother me, and I know it's like that reverse psychology thing of like, if you feel like you're playing like the underdog, then you're going to play well, and if you feel like you're too loose and you're just team that's just going to roll, then maybe you slip up. That doesn't bother me nearly as much. I think these guys are professionals. They understand the gravity of going to Dallas, playing a division game, winning a division game. And taking that, because right now they're only 1-0 in the division. They've only played one division game this year so far. They still have Washington twice.
Well,
they still
also
have Dallas
that's
twice.
The other thing is it's amazing to call Dallas a look-ahead game, But
it has become one because Washington's
Thursday
on the
night
horizon.
football against Washington. You're playing for the division. So we'll talk a lot about it tomorrow. And by the way, A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert were back on the practice field yesterday. They look like they're good to go for Sunday. Devontae Smith has a hamstring issue. He did not practice yesterday. That's worth monitoring to see where he is today. But, well, listen, it's Thursday. And how do we get ready for college football on Saturday? We bring in Uncle Jamie for Uncle Jamie's College Football Locks of the Week, as always brought to you by Central City Toyota, as that is his dealership. I was there yesterday, 4 new tires, front-end alignment. They did it too quickly. Jamie, I had more work I had to do, but you guys were so fast in the service department. I was like, no, I have more work I have to do. No, I don't want to go home to my mom and my 3-year-old. No, let me stay here and drink more coffee. And I had to leave. Well, I didn't have to leave. I could have stayed. But anyway, Uncle Jamie 3-0 last week. Don't let him get hot. I keep telling people that. Don't let him get hot. You can pay double for oil changes if he keeps giving you 3-0 weeks.
I get to do my Ric Flair this morning. Woo! For them, my 3-0.
Let's see. Don't see that. This is the problem I always have. I get cocky with my picks, and then I go 0-3.
You get hit.
So let's start Georgia and Ole Miss. Georgia is 2.5-point favorites at Ole Miss. I don't have a feel for this one. Your other two games, I have a feel for. But who do you like in this one? Give me your analysis on this.
You got Georgia going into Oxford, big environment, 3:30 game. Georgia has played so poorly in the first half of all their games. Carson Beck, who was coming in this year with big NFL aspirations, has looked terrible. Thrown 11 interceptions in 5 games. But I will say this about Georgia. Georgia comes up big when they need to come up big. You'll see Georgia play well in this game and thump Ole Miss. Georgia comes in, lay the points, take Georgia. Stone cold lock on this one.
That's all. They asked Kirby Smart yesterday about his visor. They were trying to get him to show a little bit of humor regarding his visor, and he's like, "I'll spend a lot of time thinking about my visor." He's in total business game mode right now, Jamie.
And it's a shame. Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss came in with high aspirations this year. They had Jackson Dart, world-class receiving core. They just have not been able to get over the hump and win the big game. And the SEC schedule is a gauntlet.
Brutal.
Coming in, it's such a tough game, and Georgia is they're primed in this type of game to come up big. So I think Georgia wins pretty handily.
Alabama 3-point road favorites at LSU. Every year this is a great game. Alabama bounced back a little bit here. What do you see in this one?
The LSU this game, each team has 2 losses. So whomever comes out of this game with a loss is out of the college playoff. They're done. So this is a showdown in Baton Rouge. LSU's my team, but I can't go with my heart on this one. Bama, I worry about the Kelvin DeBoer offense with Jalen Milroe. They haven't looked great. Their defense, secondary has been suspect. LSU, they have a good passing game. Nussmeier, the quarterback, has played well. My heart informs my mind on this one, so I'm going to take LSU and get the 3 points. I think it's a toss-up game. It's one of those environments where, like you said, every year it goes back and forth. But I think LSU comes out because I'm not a believer in what DeBoer is doing in Alabama this year.
All right, last game, and we all watched the Ohio State-Penn State game last week. Really tough way to lose the game. You have the ball inside the 5-yard line on 1st and goal, and the run pretty much the same play 3 times in a row, and then not convert 4th down. Tough loss for Penn State. They look to bounce back this week. Washington is coming off a win over those complete frauds at USC.
Yeah.
But they're 5-4 on the season. Penn State at home, 13.5-point favorites in Happy Valley. Is this the week? Is this a get-right game, a feel-better game after losing to Ohio State last week?
I think you and I read the line exactly the same in this game. I think this is a classic. It's a night game. It's a classic. Penn State gets right against a team that is better than not as good as you think they are. They come in, and I think Penn State thumps them. I think this is like a 3-touchdown victory on Happy Valley night is what I see.
Yeah, going from Washington all the way to so you're going West Coast to East Coast, and then you remember James Franklin. They have to drive from the airport. They can't just fly right into State College, which is a very, very big deal. But I agree with you. I think Penn State hammers Washington this week, and then but reality is they're going to be in the playoff. Penn State, unless something happens here that I totally don't expect, they're probably going to have a home game in the playoffs. I know Pat McAfee was spreading a rumor yesterday that they don't have enough hotel rooms to support the game, and they may have to go play somewhere else. But no, they can actually host the game. They do have 110,000 people that go to games there weekly, Pat. So I think they'd be able to support the game.
I think I'll be able to figure it out in the state of Pennsylvania. So McAfee, he's a WVU guy. He's a West Virginia guy. So you got some of that Pittsburgh, West Virginia against Happy Valley in Philadelphia going on with him. You always got to figure out. So yeah, but this is a classic James Franklin game, right? Big game, disappointment, comes off it, and they win by 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, and somehow he just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah, he's an all-time punch down coach. He punches down with the best of them, James Franklin.
And let me tell you, we talked about it last week. Ryan Day and Franklin, they both tried to give that game away.
Yeah, they did.
Penn State 2 times within the 5-yard line, and you get nothing. I mean, come on.
Ohio State left the door wide open for Penn State, and unfortunately they couldn't capitalize on it. All right, Central City. Go ahead, Jimmy.
That play, like you said, just to highlight this further, running the same play into the line 3 different times. I watched. Somebody did an extract on Instagram of the 4 plays. It was the same play. What are you doing?
Well, they didn't run it 4 times in a row, I guess, Jamie. You can give them that. In the heart of University City, Central City Toyota, 55 years on Chestnut Street. See my Uncle Jamie, his amazing staff. If you're working in the city, drop off your car to get service. They'll shuttle you, or you can get a pickup and delivery service by an appointment basis. Just go to centralcitytoyota.com. They'll pick up the car from the city. They'll service it and drop it back off for you. And if you're looking to upgrade your ride, and who's not, Central City Toyota has an amazing selection of certified vehicles. There's no pricing games. One price approach. Everything is transparent and easy. So go see Uncle Jamie and his amazing staff. CentralCityToyota.com. Jamie, good luck. We'll talk again next week.
All right, John. Thanks. Talk soon.
There he is, coming off a 3-0 week. Like pick 1, pick 3. Unsure about Alabama and LSU. Oh, that must have. You're a Penn Stater there, Tyler, and I know you have your Penn State podcast. By the way, shout out to all the diehards out there. Thank you very much, diehards. And get to allphly.com. And Rich Hoffman Jr. does an amazing job with the PHLY Daily. It's everything you need to know. It's essentially the Philadelphia sports page sent to you with videos from Twitter embedded. Everything you literally need to know from all the sports here in Philadelphia and beyond. He does it for you. Allphly.com to get it. What was your feeling? So when was your son born, by the way? When was the
So not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before. So it was the Thursday of right before the Wisconsin game. So
it was 2 weeks. So he's 2 weeks old today.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. The Friday. It was Friday. So it was 12:09 in the morning on Friday. So it felt like Thursday because we were up for a million hours. But So actually, no. 2 weeks old tomorrow.
So 1-1 so far in his life as a Penn State fan.
Yeah, he's 2-0 as an Eagles fan. Well, and the thing is too, like this. My thumbnail for the show on this past week was like same old stuff. Because that's what it is. It's the brick wall behind you. It's like me banging my head against that brick wall, thinking I'm going to bust through at some point when they play Ohio State, when they play Michigan for the most part. They're going to win this game against Washington, and they're going to be favored against every team they play for the rest of the year, and pretty substantially favored. They're going to be at least 2 touchdown favorites against Purdue. They're going to be at least 2 touchdown favorites against Maryland. And Minnesota's a good team. They got to go to Minnesota. That's going to be a difficult game, but they're going to win that game, and I think it's going to be convincing. They're going to, assuming they beat Washington this weekend, they're very, very likely going to finish the year 11-1, and like you said, be in a playoff spot. The problem is they had opportunities to win that game. Will Howard fumbles out of the back of the end zone. You have 2 opportunities from inside the 5, and you don't score. You brought it up, running the same dive play with Vega coming across the middle. He is your best interior run-blocking offensive lineman. And instead of using him as a push guy, you run, and that play's worked before for them, don't get me wrong, but it's worked against UCLA. It's worked against USC. It's not going to work against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And so they run that dive with Katron Allen 3 times in a row, and then when they go to throw the football on 4th down, Tyler Warren runs an out route. The rub route to the inside wasn't particularly good. It didn't create any separation. You have nobody open. The Penn State receiving corps is just dreadful. And it's another year of, I think Drew Aller is a good quarterback. I don't think he's excellent, but he's gotten better and better as the year has gone on.
Yeah.
He didn't have anybody to throw to yesterday on Saturday because Ohio State basically said, we're going to bracket your best player, Tyler Warren, and your run game is not going to beat us. Nope. Amari Evans is going to have to beat us. Julian Fleming's going to have to beat us. Trey Wallace is going to have to beat us. They had 3 catches for 49 yards as a wide receiving group. You can't win that way.
This isn't the Joe Paterno offense, even from the 90s, where you go out there with 2 fullbacks and a running back and you're running the ball, right? Like, you got to do better than that. Penn State will, no, I wasn't talking about this with you. I was talking about it last night on YouTube, where I don't know, we're talking about it before the show. Penn State needs to modernize how they handle present-day college football. They essentially need a general manager. Alabama has a general manager because you have a budget. What is the budget? All right, is the budget $15 million? Okay, well, how are you using that $15 million? They got to get modern with it. I know a lot of these schools don't want to do the transfer portal. Okay, then don't bring in players from the transfer portal. Don't use the NIL money like you should.
Penn State is being out NIL spent over 4-1, almost 5-1 by Ohio State. Penn State's NIL budget right now is about $5 million. Ohio State's NIL budget is $23 million.
Wow.
And JP and I were talking about this, JP Zapata, we're talking about this yesterday about the disparity of college football. And you think about it, if 2 Big Ten schools and 2 perennial, Ohio State's an elite program, Penn State's a good program.
Right.
The differentiator between those 2 is $18 million. What's the differentiator between a Penn State and a MAC school
Temple.
or a Conference USA or a Temple, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine Temple has a ton of money they're throwing around out there for players. But you know what? Even with that being said, $18 million, it's relative. If it's $100 million to $82 million, $18 million isn't that much money. 23-5 is
23-5 is substantial.
Big, yeah. Look at the percentage of it. It's unbelievable.
Well, and then the issue becomes, of course, I get the emails. Hey, would you like to donate to the NIL fund? And I'm like, no, I'm still paying my student loans, right. So no, I don't want to. Thank you, but maybe go get your rich donors to do it.
Yeah, I just talking about So my neighbor, Lucy Olson, who played college basketball at Villanova the last couple of years. She's one of the top scorers in America. She was last year with Villanova. And Caitlin Clark leaves Iowa. Iowa's very aggressive in the transfer portal, and they grab her. So she's at Iowa this year. And her first year, they just got her in the offseason. And I'm not going to tell you what her NIL money is, and I just looked it up. I didn't, her dad walks the dog past our house pretty much every day. So, I talk to him. I don't ask those questions. Women's college basketball in Iowa is a huge thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Bigger than the men's program. So they have budgets that they pay. So, hey, how do we remain at the top of women's basketball? Caitlin Clark's gone. Caitlin Clark brought in something like $72 million of money to the economy last year. So if you want to remain big in women's college basketball, you got to bring in talent. So I guess my point is that Penn State's got to up their game. Otherwise, they're going to fall behind. Dabo Swinney's been bitching about the transfer portal for the last couple of years. Oh, by the way, Clemson hasn't been the same program since he didn't embrace the transfer portal. So you got to get modern with it. As much as people say that I hate on Penn State, which I probably do, but I also follow the program because I love college football, and it's the closest college football program. And yes, I know Penn State fans, Temple stinks. Oh, yeah, we could be Temple. I know, Temple stinks. I don't watch Temple. I'm a bandwagon Temple fan. All right? So there you go. But I wanted to mention this, and this doesn't make me happy because I've always been a Villanova fan since I was a kid. I was as far as basketball, my favorite team of all time is the 87-88 Temple Owls. Mark Macon, Mike Vrieswick, Howie Evans, Ramon Rivas, Mark Macon. Love that team. Number one in the country for a long time. That's the Billy King Duke team that beat him in the Elite Eight. John Chaney never made a Final Four. It kills me to this day. But like I followed, and I don't watch as much college basketball these days, and I don't follow the Big Five like I once did. But Villanova's in major trouble.
Oh yeah, they just lost to Columbia last night.
They lost to Columbia by 10 last night. Columbia's in the Ivy League. It's not, and they were at home. Villanova was at home. It's not outrageous to lose to an Ivy League team, especially this early in the season. That team, I think, has only won 5, 6, or 7 games in the last 3 years in the Ivy League. This is a bad Ivy League school.
Yeah, if Nova would have, Princeton...
They lost to Penn last year.
Princeton has been pretty good over the last couple of years. If they would have lost to Princeton or Yale's been pretty decent.
Yale's been good. Penn beat them last year. Penn is
right.
Not at once.
You're talking about losing to a Columbia, a Brown, a Dartmouth. Those are bad basketball programs. Kyle Neptune's got
he's in trouble.
He's in some serious hot water right now. I think I saw a tweet the other day that said in his last 10 years or his last 9 years, Jay Wright had only lost to 2 sub-100 Ken Pom non-conference opponents.
Yeah.
And Kyle Neptune has lost to 7 in the last 2 years.
Yep.
That's problematic.
Yeah, it's I always wondered this when Krzyzewski left Duke, because what was Duke before Krzyzewski went there? It was Duke. There wasn't a basketball powerhouse. So do these programs become Krzyzewski leaves and Duke's not the same? Duke still has remained a power, right? But when Jay Wright leaves Villanova, if you look at what happened with Villanova over the years, Raleigh Massimino left, Steve Lapis came in. They didn't have the same success with Lapis. Obviously, they were still a very good team. They were number one in the country with Steve Lapis. They underachieved. Jay Wright came in, and they were a national powerhouse, 2 national championships, obviously. But still, Villanova is a small, private Catholic university.
Sure.
We talked about the NILs. What's their budget with NILs? Jay Wright didn't build his teams on, hey, freshman, here's $1 million, come play for me. He built his teams on developing his players and not having one and done guys. That's how they won, was development, recruiting a certain type of player. Man, Kyle Neptune's not Jay Wright.
If Jay Wright knew this was coming, he got out of college basketball at the right time because his style was not going to play for the foreseeable future.
He didn't want to deal with this.
He's an enormously gifted coach and a very, very good talent developer and human being developer, right? He seems like the guys that come out of Villanova always seem to be very stand-up individuals on top of good basketball players.
He recruits a certain type of player. High character.
It's difficult when you have quick turnarounds, transfer portals, NIL, multiple abilities to transfer. And I agree with all of those things. I think they should be in place because if coaches can leave, players should be allowed to leave as well. But if your recruiting style and your developmental style is, sit for a bit, grow as a man, grow as a player, become a more well-rounded player, and then in your sophomore, junior, senior year, that we're going to be a great team, that doesn't fly anymore.
No, doesn't. Well, like Woj leaves ESPN to more or less be the GM of St. Bonaventure. So he's going to handle fundraising, NIL stuff. He's the general manager of the program. Does Villanova seem like that they have a modern basketball program? It seems like that they're still reeling that Jay Wright retired, which you can understand it. But you hope Villanova doesn't go from, since 1980 whatever, this has been a top program in the nation to look at what's become a Temple since John Chaney retired. Never made a Final Four. They were damn close many times. Now, come on, give me a break. It sucks. All right, shout out to everybody out there, even though, as I expected, bringing on Angelo was going to anger a lot of people. But still, I thought he was very good, so we appreciate you watching. Shout out to everybody that tunes in live every morning at 8 o'clock and contributes to the chat. We love you. Thank you. And remember, Samsung Plus, Roku TV, you can watch us 24/7, PHLY, including this show, Philly with John Marks. So check it out. Podcast, if you say, hey, I would love to listen to the podcast, well, just search it, PHLY or Philly with John Marks, wherever you find your podcast. I would love a nice review if you like the show. And you can listen at your convenience. Tyler's probably saying get off the air right now so I can post it, which we will do right now. We're back tomorrow, Big Football Friday show, Eagles and the Cowboys on Sunday. We haven't talked a lot of Eagles the last couple days. We will dig in deep tomorrow. So we'll talk to you live at 8 a.m. See you.
We all silly like the mayor.